The day began like any other on planet Veros. The twin suns were bright, the streets were noisy, and the alien marketplace was full of voices, dust, and rushing feet. Everyone moved fast. Everyone had a purpose. Everyone looked strong. But one small girl did not. She walked slowly, with a heavy limp. Each step looked painful. Her thin arms shook as she tried to balance herself on a weak wooden crutch. Her name was Lyra, a young alien child with soft silver skin and bright green eyes. She tried her best to keep up with the busy crowd, but the crowd did not care. Some aliens pushed past her. Some laughed when she stumbled. Many acted like she was invisible. Then, suddenly, her crutch hit a loose stone. Lyra fell forward. Hard, her face hit the ground. The wooden crutch snapped in the middle. The sound echoed on the stones. People looked for 1 second, then continued walking. But one person did not walk away. A human traveler named Evan Cole stopped in his tracks when he saw the child fall. He was tall, with tired eyes and a simple tool bag hanging from his shoulder. He had been traveling across different planets to repair machines and sell small tools. But today he forgot everything else the moment he saw Lyra on the ground. He rushed to her and crouched beside her. "Are you hurt?" he asked softly. Lyra tried to hide her tears. She shook her head, but pain was clear in her voice. "My crutch broke," she whispered. Evan picked up the 2 broken pieces. The wood was old, cracked, and too weak for any child to use. "Who made this for you?" he asked gently. "No one," she said. "I found it behind a store. I have nothing else." The words hit Evan harder than he expected. A child, alone, walking through a crowd that ignored her, using a broken stick to move through her day. It felt wrong. Deeply wrong. "Where are your parents?" he asked. "My father died last season," she said quietly. "My mother works in the mines. She comes home late." Evan nodded slowly. His heart felt heavy. He stood up and gently lifted Lyra into his arms. "Come," he said. "I will help you." She looked scared at first, but his voice was warm and calm. She allowed him to carry her across the street to his small workshop, just a corner space he rented to repair tools and machines. He placed her on a small seat, then spread out the broken crutch on the table. You can fix it?" Lyra asked, hope shining through her tired eyes. "No," Evan said with a small smile. "I will build you something better." He opened his bag and took out smooth metal rods, strong joints, and a soft handle grip. His hands moved fast and clear. Evan was not rich, not famous, not powerful, but he was skilled, and he had a good heart. Lyra watched him in silence, her eyes wide. He measured her height carefully. He checked the angle of her steps. He shaped the crutch until it matched her body perfectly. Hours passed. The suns lowered in the sky. Finally, Evan placed a new crutch in front of her. It was not just good, it was beautiful, strong, light, smooth, easy to hold. It even had soft padding, so it would not hurt her arm. Lyra touched it with shaking hands. "For me?" she whispered. "For you," Evan said. "Try it." She stood up slowly. For a moment, she hesitated. Then she put her weight on the crutch. Her legs shook, but she did not fall. Her back straightened, her face changed, surprise, then joy, then tears. She took one careful step, then another, then a third. For the first time in her life, she walked without fear. She looked at Evan, tears rolling down her silver cheeks. Then she hugged him tightly. Thank you, she whispered. The marketplace had stopped watching their own lives. Many aliens stood still, staring at the human who helped the lame child. Some looked confused. Some looked angry. Some looked touched. But one pair of eyes watched from a distance. A tall imperial guard, dressed in dark armor, stood behind a merchant's stall. He observed everything: the fall, the repair, the child's joy. He turned and walked away quickly. Evan did not see him. Lyra did not see him. But the Empire did. The next morning, the peace of the market shattered. Horns blasted across the streets. Soldiers marched in heavy lines. Then a loud voice shouted, "Human Evan Cole, by order of the Emperor, you are to be arrested at once." The crowd froze when the Emperor's order echoed through the marketplace. Every merchant, every traveler, every guard turned their eyes toward the small workshop where Evan stood beside Lyra. For a moment, even the wind seemed to stop moving. Lyra grabbed Evan's sleeve with fear. They are calling your name," she whispered. Evan felt his heart tighten. He had done nothing wrong. He had only helped a child. Why would the Emperor, ruler of the entire planet, demand his arrest? Before he could think more, the heavy stomp of armored boots grew louder. A full squad of Imperial guards, tall, dark, and silent, marched straight toward him. Their armor blades glowed red. Their faces were hidden behind sharp helmets. "Evan Cole," the lead guard announced. "You will come with us, now." The other guards pointed their shock spears at him. Lyra stepped in front of Evan, spreading her small arms wide. "No," she shouted. "He helped me. He did nothing wrong." The guards did not even look at her. "Move, child," the lead guard said coldly. But she didn't move. She trembled. She cried, but she didn't step aside. Evan gently touched her shoulder and moved her behind him. "It's okay, Lyra," he said softly. "Let me talk." He raised his hands to show peace. "I don't understand," Evan said to the guards. "What crime did I commit?" The lead guard stared at him for a long moment. "You helped the wrong child," he said. The words felt like a slap. The crowd gasped. Evan frowned. "What does that mean?" Before the guard answered, a loud voice came from above. A floating holoscreen activated, showing the image of a tall throne room. And there, sitting with a cold expression in golden robes, was Emperor Verax, ruler of Veros. His eyes were sharp and filled with fire. The Emperor spoke, and his voice shook the air. "You, human, interfered in matters beyond your understanding," he declared. "The child you helped is forbidden from receiving aid." Lyra's eyes widened in shock. Why me?" The Emperor looked straight at her. "You were born weak," he said. "Weakness cannot be protected in my empire. It must be removed, or it learns to survive alone." The crowd whispered, horrified. Evan's jaw clenched. "So, helping a child walk is a crime." "For her? Yes," the Emperor replied. "Her suffering is law. Any who break this law must face punishment." Punishment, thought the word hung in the air like a blade. Evan felt anger rising inside him. He stepped forward. "With respect, Your Majesty," he said firmly, "that is cruel and wrong." Gasps erupted. Some aliens stepped back. No one spoke to the Emperor Lyra. "Never." The Emperor's eyes darkened. "Take him." The guards moved in. But at that moment, something unexpected happened. A group of older aliens, quiet merchants, travelers, and workers stepped in front of Evan. "He helped a child." One said, "He did nothing wrong." Another added, "We Saw everything. More joined. Some shook with fear but still stood. The lead guard raised his weapon. Stand aside, or you will be punished with him. The crowd hesitated. Then Lyra stepped forward again, her new crutch shining under the suns. She lifted her chin bravely. If you arrest him, she said, her voice shaking but strong, you must take me too, because I will not let him go alone. The guards paused. Even the emperor seemed surprised. Lyra's courage lit something in the hearts of the people. More aliens stepped forward. Us too. He helped one of our children. We stand with him. Within seconds, dozens stood between Evan and the soldiers. But the emperor was not impressed. You think numbers can protect you? He said. My will is absolute. He raised his hand. A red symbol flashed on the HOLO- screen. Evan did not know the meaning, but everyone else did. It was the mark of forbidden mercy, the emperor declared with a cold voice. Evan Cole is hereby guilty of an unforgivable act. He will be brought to the imperial palace. There, his punishment will be decided. The guards activated their shock spears. The crowd backed away. Evan's fists tightened. He knew he could not fight them. He knew resisting would only hurt others. He looked at Lyra. Her eyes were full of tears. Don't go, she said softly. Evan gave her a small, brave smile. It'll be okay, he whispered. He stepped forward, placing himself in custody. The guards surrounded him, but as they marched away, Lyra noticed something strange, something that made her heart stop. The emperor, on the screen, did not look angry anymore. He looked afraid. Afraid of Evan? Afraid of a simple crutch? Or afraid of something deeper? Lyra did not know, but she made a silent promise. She would not let the human face the emperor alone. The imperial guards marched Evan through the metallic streets of Veros, their steps heavy, echoing like thunder. The marketplace disappeared behind him. The voices faded. Only the clinking armor and humming shock spears surrounded him now. Evan walked calmly, but inside, questions burned. Why would the emperor fear a simple act of kindness? Why would helping a lame child break a law? Why did the emperor's eyes tremble for a moment when he saw Lyra? Something was wrong, deeply wrong. As they neared the palace, Evan finally saw an enormous structure made of dark crystal and gold. Rising like a mountain, its massive doors opened by themselves, revealing a hall so large it felt like a world inside a world. The guards pushed him inside and locked the gates. Behind him, he stood alone in the center of the hall. Soft footsteps echoed from somewhere above. A tall figure walked down the steps. Not the emperor, not a guard, not a soldier. It was a woman wrapped in royal blue robes, her face partly hidden by a hood. Her voice was calm but carried pain. You should not be here, human. Evan stared. Who are you? She hesitated. Then she lowered her hood. Her face was elegant, with markings of the royal bloodline. But her eyes were filled with sorrow. I am Lady Serana, she said, sister of Emperor Verax. Evan stiffened. Royal family? She looked at him with deep sadness. My brother has ordered your punishment, she said. But I came before him because there is something you must know. Evan crossed his arms. I'm listening. Lady Serana stepped closer. Do you know why helping that child is forbidden? No, Evan answered, and it makes no sense. She nodded. That is because the truth was hidden for many years. Even most of the empire does not know. She looked around nervously, then whispered, many years ago, My brother had a daughter. Evan blinked in surprise. The Emperor had a child? He asked. Yes, Serana said. A little girl, gentle, kind. But she was born weak, born with the same walking problem as the child you helped. Evan's heart jumped. A royal child. Just like Lyra. What happened to her? He asked softly. Serana's voice broke. The Emperor believed weakness had no place in the royal blood. He believed a ruler's family must be perfect. When the little princess tried to walk, she fell many times. She cried, she struggled, and instead of helping her, Serana closed her eyes painfully. He ordered her to be isolated. No one was allowed to help her, not even her own mother. Evan felt sick. That's cruel, he said. It gets worse, Serana whispered. One night during training, she fell down the palace stairs. Evan's breath caught in his throat, and, she died, Serana said. Silence, cold, sharp. Silence filled the hall. Evan felt anger burn behind his ribs. His hands clenched. A child died because he refused to help her. Serana nodded slowly. Tears filled her eyes. The Emperor changed after that, not with guilt, but with fear. Fear that if any child born with weakness survived with help, then the truth about his daughter would come back to him. He would be seen as a monster. Evan understood. To protect his image, he said quietly, he created a law. Yes, she said, the law of endurance. No weak child may receive help. They must survive alone or not survive at all. Evan felt rage rising inside, impure, burning rage. And Lyra? He asked. Why is she forbidden? Serana's voice cracked. Because she looks almost exactly like the Emperor's. Daughter, she whispered. Same eyes, same skin, same trembling step. When he saw her, it reminded him of his guilt, his shame, his fear, and he cannot handle that. Evan felt the truth hit him like a punch. He didn't break a law. He broke the Emperor's mask. And my punishment? He asked. Serana hesitated. The Emperor wants to show the people that weakness must not be protected. He wants to make an example. He plans to punish you publicly. Evan breathed in slowly. So he is scared? Evan said. Serana looked shocked. What? He is scared of a human, Evan said. Scared because I helped a child. Scared because the people stood with me. Scared because kindness is stronger than his fear. Serana stepped back, surprised at his courage. Evan stared at the palace walls. But I won't let him hurt that child, he said firmly. Not Lyra, not anyone else. Serana's eyes widened. Then you are braver than any I have met, she whispered. Before Evan could answer, the enormous doors behind him slammed open. Trumpets blared, and the Emperor himself entered his golden armor shining, his eyes filled with fury. Human, he growled, your punishment begins now. But as Evan looked into his eyes, he saw something unexpected. Fear, deep, shaking fear. The golden throne room of Veros felt like a giant cage. The ceiling stretched high like a sky made of metal. Long banners of the imperial crest hung from every wall, glowing with cold light. Soldiers lined both sides of the hall, their shock spears humming softly. Evan was pushed to the center of the room. Emperor Verax sat on his enormous throne, his armor shining with cruel pride. His eyes were sharp and dark, watching Evan with a mix of anger and something else. Something like fear. Lady Serana stood to the side, trying to remain calm. but her hands trembled inside her sleeves. The Emperor lifted his chin. "You, Evan Cole, you broke the law of endurance once. You helped a child named Lyra. For that, you will face public punishment." Gasps filled the hall. Evan kept his voice steady. Helping a child is not a crime. The Emperor leaned forward. "On Veros it is." Before the Emperor could say more, loud footsteps echoed through the hall. The doors swung open so hard they crashed against the walls. A woman entered. Her clothes were dirty from work. Her hands were rough from mining. Her breathing was fast and uneven. Her silver skin was covered with dust, but her eyes burned with fierce determination. It was Lyra's mother. 2 guards tried to block her, but she shoved them aside with surprising strength. "Your Majesty," she cried. "I must speak." The Emperor frowned. "You dare interrupt my judgment?" "I dare," she said, stepping forward. "Because this human saved my daughter's life." The hall held its breath. Evan looked at her with shock. He had never met her before, but she stood like a warrior, shoulders straight, eyes full of fire. The Emperor waved his hand. "Remove her?" But no guard moved. Lyra's mother raised her voice again. "My daughter was born weak. Even then, we tried everything. Doctors, healers, medicines, none worked." Her voice cracked, but she continued. Yet she smiled every day. She tried to walk. She tried to hide her pain so I would not worry. But no matter what she did, people around her laughed, pushed, or ignored her. She looked at Evan, tears shining in her eyes, until this human helped her stand. Evan's chest grew tight with emotion. Lyra's mother turned back to the throne. "You call kindness a crime," she said, "but I call it hope." The Emperor slammed his fist onto the armrest. "Hope!" he roared. "Hope makes people forget their place. Weakness spreads like disease when it is protected." Lyra's mother stepped closer, fearless. "Then why are you afraid of that child?" she demanded. The throne room froze. The Emperor's jaw clenched. His eyes widened for half a second, just enough for everyone to see it. Fear, real fear, eh? Whispers spread through the hall. He fears the child. Why? What secret is he hiding? Why fear a lame girl? The Emperor stood, trying to regain control. "You speak boldly for someone so low-born." "I speak boldly," she said, "because I have nothing left to fear." She took another step. "My daughter walks today because of this human, because of kindness, because of something your laws forbid." The Emperor lifted his hand, about to order her arrest, but a new voice shouted from behind the doors, "Stop!" The guards rushed aside, and Lyra entered the throne room on her new crutch. Her steps were slow, but steady. Her eyes were bright, filled with courage far bigger than her small body. The entire hall gasped. Evan's heart almost stopped. Lyra looked straight at the Emperor. "You hurt my mother," she said softly. "You hurt me. Why?" Her voice echoed like thunder in the silent hall. The Emperor stiffened. His fingers tightened on the edge of his throne. "You should not be here," he said sharply. "You are forbidden." "I don't care," Lyra replied. "I want to know why you hate children like me." Her words hit the Emperor like blades. Lady Serana's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "She sounds exactly like the princess." The Emperor stepped back. Evan noticed something. The Emperor was shaking, not with anger. With memory, Lyra took one more small step. "My father is gone," she said. "My mother works all day. I fall. I cry. But I still try." She held out her new crutch. This human helped me walk. Why is that wrong? The Emperor closed his eyes for a moment, but that moment revealed everything. Guilt, pain, fear of the past, fear of the truth. When he opened them again, his voice was trembling, because weakness destroyed my family. Whispers filled the throne room. Lyra, Mother gasped. Lady Serana covered her mouth. Evan stepped forward slowly. You lost your daughter, he said quietly. The Emperor froze. And now, Evan continued, you want the whole world to be punished for it. Lyra looked up at the Emperor with gentle, innocent eyes. Your daughter didn't need punishment, she said softly. She needed help. Her words shattered the room. The Emperor stumbled back a step, as if the small child had struck him harder than any soldier ever could. For the first time, he looked human, broken, suffering, afraid. But the throne room was watching, and his mask was crumbling. The throne room felt colder than ever. After Lyra's gentle words struck the Emperor's heart, the entire hall waited in heavy silence. Even the guards, trained to show no emotion, looked uneasy. Evan stood tall beside Lyra and her mother. Lady, Serana watched with trembling hands. The Emperor stared at the ground, breathing slowly, like a man trying to control a storm inside his chest. He finally lifted his head. His voice was rough, low, and shaking. You do not understand, he said. You humans must never interfere. Evan narrowed his eyes. Why? The Emperor stepped away from his throne, each footstep echoing like thunder. His golden armor no longer made him look powerful, it made him look trapped. Because mercy destroyed a world once, he whispered. The hall gasped. Lady Serana took a step forward. Brother, no one knows that story. You buried it for years. The Emperor clenched his fists. I buried it because it should never be repeated. Evan felt the tension rise. Tell me, tell all of us. Verax looked at him with a mix of hatred and sadness. Fine, he said. Let the truth be known. He raised his hand. The hall darkened. A large holocrystal activated, showing images from the past memories he had locked away. The image displayed a planet with green oceans and bright forests. Children played. People laughed. Cities glowed with peace. This was my wife's home world, the Emperor said. The world where the woman I loved was born. Evan watched carefully. Verax continued, his voice thickening. Her people were gentle, too gentle. They believed peace could solve everything, even when threats came, even when pirates attacked, even when invaders rose. His expression hardened. They believed mercy could protect them. The holoscreen flashed. Dark ships filled the sky. Explosions shook cities. People ran. Fires burned everywhere. My wife begged her people to fight back, he said. But they refused. They tried to negotiate. They tried to talk. They tried to show kindness. The screen showed their enemy destroying everything, children crying, cities turning to ash, forests burning. And because they never defended themselves, the Emperor looked away. Her world died. The image turned to black. My wife was one of the only survivors, he whispered. Weakness destroyed her world. Weakness destroyed everything I loved. His voice cracked with raw pain. So I made a law to protect my own world. No weakness, no mercy, no exceptions. The hall fell silent. Evan took a slow breath. But Lyra is not a weakness. The Emperor's eyes snapped toward him. A child who cannot stand is a weakness. A people who help her become weak too. Lyra. Mother stepped forward. My daughter's not weak. She fights every day. But Verax shook his head. You humans don't understand. Your kind interferes everywhere. Helping, fixing, healing. But mercy brings danger. You make people depend on you. And then, when humans leave, everything collapses. Evan felt anger rise. Helping a child is not interference. It is humanity. Verax turned sharply. You think kindness is simple, human? Look what happened when you helped her. He pointed at Lyra. The people rebelled against my order. They defied the Empire. Peace broke. Fear spread. And now my throne shakes. Lady Serana stepped beside him. Brother, that is not weakness, she said. That is change. But the Emperor did not hear. He walked closer to Evan, face burning with emotion. I forbid humans from interfering because your kindness threatens the balance I built. You make people question the law. You make them hope. His voice lowered. Hope is dangerous. Evan stood unafraid. Hope is necessary. The Emperor's eyes flashed with anger. You helped that child walk, and the people saw. They saw what true strength is. Not fear, not control, not punishment, but compassion. Verax's face twisted with conflict. Evan continued, voice steady but powerful. You didn't fear weakness. You feared the truth that your law is broken, that your people want something better, that your daughter didn't die because of kindness, but because of your cruelty. The Emperor flinched, like Evan had punched him. The hall gasped. Verax's breathing turned heavy. His hands shook. His mask cracked. For the first time in decades, he looked vulnerable. You humans, he whispered. You destroy everything. Evan shook his head. No. We rebuild what others break. Lyra stepped forward, leaning on her crutch. I am not danger, she said softly. I am just a child. I needed help. The human gave it. And now I can walk. The Emperor stared at her. His lips trembled. You look like her, he whispered. My daughter. Lyra nodded gently. Then maybe she wanted help too. Those words hit deeper than any weapon. Verax stumbled back, breath shaking. Before he could speak, a loud, sharp alarm rang through the throne room. A soldier ran in. Your Majesty. A crowd is gathered outside the palace. The Emperor's eyes widened. Rebels? No, sire, the guard said. Citizens. Thousands of them, all demanding only one thing. And what is that? Verax asked. The guard swallowed hard. They want the human released. The palace walls shook with the sound of thousands of voices gathered outside. The noise grew louder with every passing second. Shouts, chants, stomping feet, and echoing demands. Release the human. Free Evan. Cole, end the cruel law. The noise rolled through the golden throne room like a storm. Evan turned his head slightly. He could feel the vibrations under his boots. The people were no longer afraid. Not anymore. The Emperor's face tightened. He looked toward the doors with disbelief. They dare? He whispered. Lady Serana stepped forward. They dare because they finally see the truth. The Emperor's jaw clenched. The truth is dangerous. No, Serana said firmly. The truth is necessary. Lyra held her crutch tightly and moved closer to Evan. She was scared, but she refused to leave. His side. Evan knelt beside her. Stay behind me if anything happens. But Lyra shook her head quietly. No, I stay with you. Her voice was small but strong. Lyra's mother placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder. Tears glimmered in her eyes, but she stood tall. The child who could barely walk yesterday was standing in the center of a revolution today. The Emperor turned toward the guards. Silence the crowd, Verax ordered. Send soldiers. Break their gathering. The lead guard hesitated. With respect, Your Majesty. The soldiers cannot break them. The people stand with the human. Many soldiers refuse to fight. Verax's eyes widened. They refuse? Yes, sire. Some even joined the crowd. The Emperor looked shaken. Evan said calmly, You cannot fight an entire planet. The Emperor glared. I am the ruler of this planet. Evan stood. Then listen to your people. Verax stepped back, refusing to show fear. The law exists to protect Veros, he argued. Without it, weakness will spread. Mercy will make us fall. Evan shook his head slowly. Mercy does not break a world. Cruelty does. The Emperor's breath caught. The words cut deeply because they reminded him of his daughter. Lady Serana approached him with soft steps. Brother.
4
Years you hid your grief by building walls around your heart. But now, these walls are breaking. I do not grieve, Verax snapped. You do, Serana whispered. You lost your child. You lost your wife. And instead of healing, you punished anyone who reminded you of your pain. Verax looked away. Lyra moved toward him slowly. Her crutch tapped gently against the marble floor. Everyone froze as the little girl stopped just a few feet from the Emperor. You made a law because of fear, she said softly. But your fear hurt many children. Children like me. Verax stared at her trembling leg, the same tremble his own daughter had. You remind me of her, he whispered. Lyra nodded. I know. The Emperor's hands shook. Years of guilt pressed on his chest. His throat tightened. Outside, the crowd roared louder. End the law. End the cruelty. Let the human go. Evan stepped beside Lyra. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't shout. He simply spoke with calm strength. You can end this right now, Evan said. Not with fear, not with force, but with courage. The Emperor frowned. Courage? Yes, Evan said. The courage to admit you were wrong. The courage to change. Verax looked at the floor. I am not weak, he muttered. No, Evan said. You're human. The Emperor's breath trembled. Lyra's mother stepped forward. My daughter is not weak, she said. She works harder than anyone. She never gives up. She smiles through pain. If she is weakness, then maybe weakness is strength. Verax staggered backward as if those words had struck him. For years, he believed strength meant never bending. Never feeling, never showing softness. But now the softness of a child broke him more than any blade. A guard rushed into the throne room. Your Majesty. The crowd is at the gates. They say they will not leave until you free the human. Another guard added, Your Majesty, our commanders are divided. Fear flickered across the Emperor's face. Not fear of the people. Fear of truth. Lady Serana spoke one last time. Brother, you can stop this planet from burning with anger. or you can keep fighting your own shadow." The throne room held its breath. The Emperor closed his eyes. For the first time in decades, he truly looked tired. Slowly, he turned toward Evan, then toward Lyra, then toward the empty throne behind him, a throne he no longer felt worthy of. His voice came out low and broken. "Bring the human forward." The guard stepped aside. Evan walked toward the Emperor. Unafraid, the hall waited. The Emperor lifted his hand and touched the glowing symbol on Evan's wrist. "The mark of forbidden mercy? Everyone, TENSED? Denna?" Symbol shattered like glass. Gasps exploded across the hall. The Emperor spoke, voice shaking. "The human is free." The people outside roared so loudly it felt like the skies were rising. But before the cheers settled, the Emperor added something no one expected. "I end the law of endurance," he said weakly. "From this day onward, no child will be punished for being weak." Lyra smiled with tears, but Evan saw it. The Emperor's hands were still shaking. He had changed the law, but he was not done struggling with his past. The final storm was yet to come. Asterisk. The roar of the crowd outside shook the entire palace. For the first time in many years, the people of Veros were cheering not out of fear, not out of duty, but out of hope. The law of endurance was broken. A child's courage and a human's kindness had changed everything. But inside the throne room, the air was still heavy. The Emperor stood trembling. His armor felt too heavy. His crown felt like a chain. His heart felt open and wounded. Lyra watched him silently. Her bright green eyes filled with gentle sadness, for she could see the pain he carried. Lady Serana stepped closer to her brother. "You did something good today?" The Emperor did not answer. He stared at his hands. The hands that once pushed his own daughter away. Evan stepped forward slowly. He was free now. Yet he did not leave. He wanted to know what the Emperor would decide next. For himself, for his people, for the entire empire. The Emperor lifted his head. "You humans," he said softly, "you bring change wherever you go." Evan nodded. Sometimes change is needed. The Emperor walked past him toward the wide balcony overlooking the palace gates. Evan, Lyra, her mother, and Lady Serana followed. 2 guards opened the balcony doors. The sound hit them like a wave. Thousands of Veros citizens filled the plaza. They held banners. They held torches. They held their children on their shoulders. They were chanting one name: Lyra, Lyra, Lyra. The little girl gasped. She held her mother's hand tightly. "They are cheering for you," her mother whispered. "For me?" Lyra asked in disbelief. "For your courage," Evan said. The Emperor stepped forward. The crowd fell silent. The plaza became still, like a world holding its breath. "I have changed the law," he announced. "From today onward, no child will suffer for being born different. No one will be punished for showing mercy." A cry of joy rose from the people, but Verax raised his hand again. "There is something more I must say," he continued, voice shaking. The hall and plaza went silent. For years, I told myself that I was strong, that my laws protected this world, that cruelty kept us safe. His voice cracked. But the truth is, I was afraid. Gasps spread through the crowd. "I feared weakness," he said. "I feared my own memories. I feared my daughter's face. And when I saw this child," he pointed softly toward Lyra, "I saw her again. Her eyes, her trembling steps, her pain, and I remembered the night I failed her." Lyra lowered her head. Evan placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. I punished others, Verax continued, because I could not face my own guilt. The Emperor turned around. His eyes met Evan's ankle quotes, and for the first time, Evan saw not a ruler, but a father. A broken father. Slowly, the Emperor removed his crown. The entire plaza gasped. "Evan Cole," he said, voice trembling, "you showed me that strength is not fear. Kindness is not weakness. Mercy is not danger." He walked toward Evan. Everyone held their breath. Then the Emperor bowed, deep, low, on one knee, before a human, before the man who had healed what he could not, before kindness itself, Lyra's. Mother covered her mouth in shock. Lady Serana's eyes filled with tears. Evan stepped back, stunned. "Please stand," but the Emperor shook his head. "No. Today, I kneel, not to a human, but to the truth you carry." The Emperor lifted his face. "You gave my world something I could not give it myself, hope." The crowd erupted into cheers, louder than ever before. Torches lifted, banners waved, children cried with joy. Parents held each other tightly. Evan swallowed hard. "I didn't do it alone, Your Majesty." He placed his hand on Lyra's head. She started it, a small child, with a broken crutch, became the spark that changed everything. Lyra smiled shyly. The Emperor rose slowly to his feet. He looked at the little girl, truly seeing her for the first time. "I am sorry," he said softly, "not only to you, but to all children like you, and to my daughter." Lyra stepped closer to him. "You can still help others," she said. Gently, "You can still be a good king." Verax stared at her with trembling eyes. "A child shouldn't be the one to teach an emperor," he whispered. "But sometimes," Evan replied, "the smallest voices change the biggest hearts." The Emperor breathed deeply, letting the weight of years fall away. Then he turned to the people again. "Let today mark the beginning of a new Veros," he declared. "A planet where strength is not measured by power, but by compassion." People roared. Children climbed onto shoulders. Parents hugged their little ones tightly. Soldiers dropped their weapons in relief. Lady Serana smiled proudly. Lyra lifted her crutch high in the air. Evan stood beside her, proud, calm, and strong like a symbol of hope himself. The Empire had changed. A world had changed. Because one human built a simple crutch for a child no one cared about, and that small act of kindness made an emperor kneel.